So you want to go live for the first time, or maybe you want to start going live more often. But the few minutes before you press that button can feel like it's a lot. I mean, do you know what you're going to talk about? Is your gear ready? Are your scenes, your notes, maybe the links you want to share, and the setting all in the right place? Because there is no clear checklist. So then what happens is you keep trying to hold all of it in your head. So in today's video, we're going to reduce some of that uncertainty with a simple checklist. So before you even press go live, we're going to talk about all the different things today. So something that you can follow each time. So then that way, when you do feel like you want to have a repeatable and less scattered live stream, you can do so. Hello, everybody. I'm Mariane, and I help small business owners, service providers, and creators simplify their video and their live stream setup. That way, you can show up online more consistently. And so today, what we're going to do is we're going to keep this really practical, right? So nothing too overly complicated. We're not going to build a huge production list. What we're going to do is we're just going to create simple pre-live checklists. That way, you're not actually wondering, what do I do while I am live, and what do I try and figure out? Are you like this? Is like, where do I go next? All right. So then by the end of this video, you'll have a clear idea of what to have on that checklist before you go live. So then you are not looking at your, gear, your notes, and your setting, as well as your links, and wondering if you have forgotten something. So we are going to go through the main area that I want to include on my own simple pre-live checklist, which is, your gear, your live stream setup, the content that you want to talk about, as well as the viewer experience. So instead of, starting alive with everything in your head, in your memory, you're going to have a simple checklist like this to follow before you go live. All right. So why does a checklist help? The reason I like to have a pre-live checklist is because it takes all the little things that you're trying to remember and put them somewhere. All right. So it's not in here, it's somewhere tangible. Because right before you go live, you're not, only checking your setup. What you're doing is, you're also thinking, do I know what I'm trying to say? Is my gear ready? Is my camera all set up? Is my lighting? Is my mic? Did I choose the right destination? Am I going to go live on YouTube, on Instagram? Am I going live on LinkedIn, on Zoom, on Facebook? Where are your notes? Are your notes open? And, did I forget the link? Is everything where it needs to be? That is a lot. That's a lot to carry in your head. So a checklist is not about making your live stream perfect, because if you have been here, I haven't gone, things haven't always gone perfect, during my own live stream. It's about giving you a simple routine to follow before you press that button. So today I am going to break a simple pre-live checklist into 4 main areas. So it's going to be your gear, your live stream setup, the content and what you're talking about, and the viewer experience. Now, that last one there is a part a lot of creators do forget when it comes to a live stream. So we'll come back to that in a moment. But first, let's start with the part that most people think of first, and that is checking your gear. All right, so this is the first area on your checklist. This is the basic tech that needs to, be ready before you go live. And that could be your mic, your camera, your lighting. Okay, is it too bright? Are you too overly exposed? Are things too dark? You have to check the power of your equipment. You know, is your battery on your camera charged? Are all the things connected to your computer connected to a hub or a port that has its own power and not depleting the power of your laptop? Okay. Also, you know, what other important gear do you have connected? If you have a stream deck like I do, is that fully connected? Is it working? And is there anything running in the background that could slow things down? So, you know, do you have other apps open? Now, this doesn't need to be a huge tech audit. Okay. The last thing you want is checking off too many things beforehand that it actually depletes you of your energy and be ready for a live stream. What you're doing is you're just checking the things that would quickly throw you off if they weren't ready. All right. So, you know, your checklist might say, has the mic been selected? Are you framed properly in your camera or your host scenes or all the different scenes you're on? Is your lighting on? If you have, you know, mood lighting, or like I do, have these colorful RGB lights at the back, are they on? Are there, like I said, any extra apps closed that might be depleting or putting a lot of pressure on your computer? Okay, and other important gear connected. And you know, that's enough to start before you go live, because keeping it simple enough that you'll actually use it. All right, so create a simple pre-live checklist that you're actually going to use. There's no point creating a list and then you don't even look at it. So for me, one of the top things is my microphone. Okay, because I use a wireless mic and I always need to check that it is connected before I go live. Now, do I get it right every single time? No, but I get it right a lot more when I'm following a checklist instead of relying on my memory. Okay, so if you're here live, I want to know, what's the one gear you always double check before you go live? And if you are watching this on replay, make sure to also leave your answer in the comment section, because, you know, once the basic gear is ready, the next part is the place where your live stream actually happens. Okay, so the thing you want to check next is your setup. Okay, so your live stream setup. And this is where you check the actual space you'll be using to run the live. Now, that might be a live streaming software that you use. You might go directly live on YouTube or go directly live on Instagram, Facebook, Zoom. You might be using other live streaming software like StreamYard, OBS, Ecamm, or whatever tool you use. Now, for me, I use Ecamm on my Mac. Okay, so I would check that I'm in the right profile. So if you are an Ecamm user, you know what I'm talking about regarding profiles. You know, there's my starting scene. Is that all ready before I press go live to make sure I'm on the right scene? Does my camera, you know, look okay? It looks good. And then also, do I have all the right screen and scenes that I want to use, whether I'm sharing something on my screen, if I'm teaching something, maybe Keynote, PowerPoint, any overlays, or scenes like this where I dedicate to go to when I do have people commenting in the live chat. Now, you know, your checklist might look very simple as well, because if you're going live maybe directly onto Instagram, okay, maybe you're checking your camera position on the actual, you know, vertical canvas, because you want to make sure that your any text, any graphics, or your camera or anything you're sharing is within the safe zone of whatever platform you're going live on, and that it's not covered, you know, by the things on the side like the icons and any comments that might be scrolling at the bottom. So it's really important that those are the things you want to go and check before you go live, because, you know, here's the bit I'd be careful with. Okay, don't try to check every single setting. Again, you know, you don't want to deplete your energy going, oh my God, I've spent all this time checking everything. Do I even have the energy to go live? That's how the checklist can become another thing to avoid. I don't want you to put too many things on yourself, you know, that might overwhelm you, because you want to keep it simple. So this part is really asking, you know, is the live stream space that you are going to go on ready for the kind of live that you're about to do? Okay, now being technically ready, of course, is very helpful, camera, mic, lighting, and all of that, but it still doesn't mean you know where the live is going. And that's where the next part comes in. And before we say the next thing to check when you are going to go live before you press that button, let's say hello to our friend Elle right here. Hello, happy weekend. Hello, Elle. Thank you so much for tuning in. Appreciate you so much. Still waiting on that wonderful live that you're going to do very, very soon. Okay, so the next bit that we want to go and check before we go live is to check the content. Okay, so this is the part that helps you avoid getting halfway through your live stream and thinking, wait, where was I going with this again? Okay, so before you go live, check, do I know the topic that I'm going to be talking about? Do I have the main points, you know, bullet point or noted down? Do I know the next step that I want to mention? And do I have any links ready to, you know, press or mention in my actual live stream? Do I know how I'm going to close the live? Because I have seen and I have done many times where I'm about to end and I go, okay, bye, see ya. So you want to know how you're going to close your live. So again, all these little things that you want to talk about, it doesn't need to be a full script, because most of the time I think a simple flow is more helpful than trying to write out every single thing, you know, word for word. So your content checklist might be, you know, is the topic clear? Do you know exactly what you're going to be talking about in your live stream? Do you have at least 3 main points that you are going to mention? You know, whether that's the problem you're solving, what you're teaching, you know, if you're doing product demonstration, you know, the benefits that it will have your viewer if they purchase it as well. Do you have a call to action chosen? Where are you? What's the next step that you want your viewer to do? And if, of course, you know, any links to resources, freebies, another video, maybe an affiliate link, do you have them ready? And again, you know, have you noted down how you're going to close your live? Because that is going to give you enough structure and move through your live without making it feel, you know, like a newscast or, you know, a news report. Okay, so again, if you are watching this live, tell me, is, you know, is this the part that you usually have ready, like the content, the thing that you're going to talk about, or is this the part that you tend to make up as you go? And again, if you're watching on the replay, I love hearing your comments, so make sure to leave that in the description as well. So do you usually know your topic already, but not how to end it? Or do you have notes, but no clear next step? Because, you know, that's really important. All right, so there's one more part that I'd add to a checklist. But again, let's quickly have a look at what Elle says in the live chat. Really appreciate your live checklist and tips. It helps me feel prepared. I'm really not good at unprepared videos. Neither am I. And that's, we have to go with our strength. And if we know that we can't go and, you know, go live off the cuff, well, like a lot of people, or if it's just tiny little bullet points, then of course, make sure your checklist works with how you know, do best. How do you perform? Okay, so the next thing we want to do is, these are the things that, of course, that if you are taking note of what to have in the type of content that you want to have when you are going live. Again, is your topic clear? Do you have at least 3 main points ready to talk about? Talk about the call to action. What next step? You need to tell your viewer what to do next. Okay, so it's really important that they get value from your video and not just end it with whatever you talked about in that live stream. Leave them, because that's why they're watching you. They want to know, okay, you've given me all this information, what next? And again, links and closing line noted. Now, there is one more part I'd like to add to a pre-live checklist, or a checklist before you press that go live button. And this is one that can really change how your live stream feels to the person that is watching you, okay? And that is checking the viewer experience, okay? Because a lot of times we just think pre-live checklist is gear, okay? Or maybe, the content that we are going to talk about. But check how your viewer is going to experience your live stream, because it's very easy to just, go, okay, everything is working fine for me, okay? But your viewer is the one trying to watch, okay? They're listening. If you have a podcast, okay, if you're sharing something on the screen, they're reading it, and you are asking them to follow along and understand what's happening. So before you go live, I want you to ask these questions. Can they hear me clearly? I know I have had, when my microphone hasn't been checked and I haven't made sure it's the right microphone, it might be the mic of my iMac, where it's very tinny, it's very scratchy, and you can hear all the things going on in my little apartment or the traffic outside my window. So, check. These are the experience that your viewer are going to notice. Can they hear me clearly? Can they see what matters? Okay, so if you're presenting anything, is it, too cluttered? Is there too many things to focus on all at the same time? Now, for me, I love, pretty setups. I like to have different things, but is that taking away from the value you are sharing if it's too many things all happening at the same time on your screen? If you are sharing something, any text or on your presentation, is it readable? I have gone and watched a lot of different courses, video courses or webinars, where they have put like a big PowerPoint presentation in all the tiny little words. Is it readable? Is it not too text heavy? And, do they know what the live stream is all about? So you will have viewers maybe popping in mid live stream, and they would want to know, they don't want to be going back to the beginning of your live to understand what's going on. So make sure you are letting them know. So this is a small shift, but it matters. Okay, this is about the experience of your viewer during a live, because a live stream can technically work. Camera, lights, microphone, all fantastic. But if it feels hard for your viewer to follow, then it's, they're going to click off. So here's a little example that, your camera might be on. Okay, you look great, you're in frame, but the product that you're presenting, might be too far away. So it could be like, oh, here's a pen over here, so you might want to do, make it closer or zoom in on those products that you are demonstrating. Your screen share might work, but then the text is too tiny to read, and then they're straining, or you might even just flash it very quickly, and it's like, oh, they feel like they're missing out. And I know for me, the fear of missing out is like, oh, I didn't grab all of that. And then you're not giving your viewer a good, calming experience. Your notes might be all ready. You've got a script, you've got your presentation, you've got your bullet points, but the viewer doesn't know what the live stream is actually helping them with. So you got to give them, how they say, the features and the benefits. Why should what I'm saying help you, and what can you do with that? And that's why viewer experience belongs on the checklist as well. Okay, so not everything has to be perfect. Just make sure the person that's watching can follow you along with what you're trying to share. Okay, before I keep going, I do see Paula Marie popping in. Hello. Do you have a template for your pre-live checklist so you don't have to create it from episode to episode? So for me, I have my own little checklist. Normally, I would have it on just in my notebook, handwritten already. So let me just show you where it is, because it does change all the time based on the type of live stream that I create. So let me just pop Paula Marie's question again there. So have a template. So if the type of show you make each and every time is the same, write it out on a Word document, or put it, if you want to make it pretty, put it on Canva and create one, and just have the different checklists that I will go through, and I'll share that again for those of you who may have joined a little bit later. Okay, so for now, the 4 areas that we want to make sure that we have, again, your gear, okay? Your live stream setup, your content that you're going to be talking about, and the viewer experience, all right? So have those checklists, because again, your show will be different to mine. And if you have 3 different types of show, those checklists for each might be different as well, okay? But before you turn this into a giant checklist, what I want you to do is, there's one thing I want to say before you create, or when you create your checklist, okay? I need you to make it repeatable, okay? Your checklist should match, like I said, the way you actually go live, okay? Now, I have, downloaded other people's checklist, but then their gear and their run of show flow might be different to mine. And that is why your checklist that you make right now is going to be different from the checklist that you will need in 2 weeks' time, in 3 weeks' time. Do you know why? Because the more you go live, things are going to come up. I want you to know this from the beginning. Even if you have a checklist, things will go wrong in your live stream. Be prepared for that. I know the Ecamm fam that I go and participate in, they call it live happens. If things can go wrong, it will go wrong. Even seasoned live streamers, even seasoned podcasters, something will go wrong, because things can be out of your control. You might have an update on your computer that somehow changes things in the background, and you will not be aware of it until you go live. But the more often you go live, or the more often you create your videos, these things will pop up, and guess what? You add them to your list. So last Saturday, when I went live, actually went live twice, because the first time I created scenes that I didn't know was on mute. So when I copied it and copied those scenes, all the copied ones were also on mute. So here I was chatting away, parts of it will be muted. So I went live again. I went live the second time. So guess what's on my checklist this time round? Check that each scene that I need to be not muted on is all unticked or all unmuted, okay? All right, so your checklist should match the way you actually go live. So if you are teaching during your live stream or you're recording your videos, it will need the exact same checklist. It won't be the same as a checklist for a product demo. So, for example, Elle naturally shares content on her YouTube channel about, makeup and or skincare products and hair care products. So your checklist will be different. I have, a live shopping client who has a show, which will need a different checklist from mine. Or I have a quiet work session that I go on, once a week for 3 hours. I'm on, and I don't need to have the microphone on. So mic does not need to be part of the checklist, but audio and music need to be. Also, a Q&A. If you are having weekly Q&A, it'll need a different checklist again as a live stream where you share a tutorial. So again, use these 4 areas as a starting point, then make it your own. Okay, you need to make it your own. Why? Because if it's not, you're not invested in the checklist, so you might print it and then never check it. Okay, hello, and Elle's giving some love. Thank you, Elle. And Sheila, hello, positive changes. Nice to see you. I hope you are well. Okay, so do not make your checklist too long, okay? Don't make it so long that you actually don't use it or that you avoid it. Start with the things you genuinely need to check each and every time, all right? Because the goal is not to create a perfect production system. And I think that's where a lot of those who want to go live or who want to go live more often think that each and every live stream need to be perfect, or when you go live and something goes wrong, that scares you and it stops you from going back and pressing go live again. Elle, Sheila, who watched me here, who watched me on my other channel at Mariane Crest, have seen me make those mistakes, okay? Those where I'm on mute, or the music's not coming through, or it's too loud, or I'm pressing the wrong buttons, I'm going to the wrong scene, okay? The goal is to have a repeatable routine that you can follow before you press go live. So instead of, starting from memory, and if you're like me, who's brain fog all the time, okay, instead of relying on your memory each and every time, you have a simple path, okay? Check the gear, check the setup, check the content, check the viewer experience. That is what's going to help the live feel less scattered and more repeatable, okay? So a quick recap. So your gear, your setup, your content, and viewer experience. Start with those 4 headings, okay? So for each one, when you go live, you go, what do I need to check? Add it onto your list, okay? I tend to not, I love creating checklists and PDFs, but it changes all the time, because whether I'm bringing something new into my program or even in my gear, so I just have a little notebook next to me. You can have a big A5 like this, or one of those little spiral, and then just as you go on more often, go live, it's going to change, okay? So those 4 areas can give you a simple routine to follow before you press go live. That way, you are not relying on your noggin, on your brain each and every time. So I'd love to know, what is the one thing that you usually worry that you have forgotten before going live. Okay, now it might be your mic, that's me, microphone all the time, because I do have a wireless one that I do connect and disconnect from my computer, because I also do use this wireless mic when I am recording my reels on my phone. So it's not always connected to my computer. So for me, top priority is mic. And even if when I do think I've checked it, sometimes I think I need to put an extra double check that it's connected, that the lights on my receiver is working. Okay. What about your notes? Okay. Do you have just even like a simple start, 3 points, next step, closing? Okay. Very simple points. So if you're one of these live streamers or people that cannot go talking without having a full script, then do a full script. I do a full script, but you don't need to do a full script. Work with the way your brain works. And I just see here that Sheila says, I'm always scatterbrained, that is. And you know what? Use that to your advantage as well, because that creates the uniqueness, the authenticity that people are going to look for, and know, that it's not AI, that we make mistakes. And one of the reasons, just a little storytelling, one of my friends, Claire Sarah, she had, it's not active at the moment. She has a YouTube channel that helps, new YouTubers talk about how to, show up online more often. And she interviewed Sharon from the Snazzy Vegan Life, another content creator friend from the other side of the pond, interviewed, and Sharon's microphone was crackly, and she had to change, if it got too crackly. And the imperfectness of that live is what actually inspired me to go live, because me as the viewer and my experience, the crackling audio or the mic did not take away from the value of the live stream. And I thought, you know what? If me as the viewer still enjoy the content, I wonder what will happen if I go live and it's imperfect. Will my viewers still want to show up? And they do, time and time again. So do not stop yourself from actually going live because you don't have everything perfect, okay? So also your links, if you are going to talk about a course, your affiliate link, if your products, or, with Sheila, if she has a recipe that she might want to share, or her savings, she does savings budget envelopes and savings content. Do you have a link to that? Okay, so also the actual flow of your live stream, or what you're going to talk about. Is that the thing that usually you worry about, or that you've forgotten to check before you go live? Okay, so leave a comment. Let me know what it is that usually worries you, or you've forgotten before you go live, or if you haven't gone live yet, when you are recording. Okay, because it's the same experience. You recording, and then when you come back to it and your microphone wasn't on. Oh, I've done that, 27 minutes of recording and my microphone wasn't on. So leave a comment and let me know, because that also is going to help me know what type of content that you would want me to cover next. All right, so let's quickly have a look. Okay, so Paula Marie's also said mic is muted, as in my mic was muted. See, I'm worried now. I'm worried now, Paula, because it was like last week my mic was muted. Okay, so worried that mic is muted. Sheila from Positive Changes said making sure everything is charged. Yes, mic, camera. Now I know now for my camera, this one that I'm looking at, so it's the Sony ZV-E10. I bought a dummy battery as well. I do have a top-down camera as well. So I bought dummy batteries for that, so then I no longer have to worry that my camera is fully charged. Elle says, muted mic is probably what scares me the most. And then with that, the thing to have is if it's on my eCam, or, you know, if you have something that shows that little sound bar, have that really visible where you are, you know, while you are live or while you're recording, and make sure that that's on there. Or do a little test before you go live. Okay, so that's really important. Yes, so Elle was there when that one where I talked about Claire, Sarah, and Sharon from the Snazzy Vegan Life. It was a good interview, and it was crackly. You know, the microphone was crackly, and I didn't mind it, and that inspired me. So just imagine, you know, just imagine you being scared right now to go live because not everything is perfect, or because, you know, if it's not perfect, just like last week, okay, I went, I think, for 30 minutes, and I loved it. It was like it was great. I had the great hook, the intro, everything looked great, and then I think 6 minutes into it, and I went, why am I muted? And then I went back to my eCam scenes and saw that every second scene that I went to was muted. Okay, you know, that's a big bummer, right? But guess what I did? I unlisted it and went straight back up, okay? It doesn't matter if maybe some of your viewer went, why is she going live again? She just went live. Doesn't matter. Just go again if you have time, or if you don't have time to go live again, maybe late in the afternoon or later on in the week. Don't let it stop you, because, you know, the viewer that you're trying to talk to, you're doing them a disservice by not sharing what it is that you know, what it is that you have found useful for your own self, okay? They are needing that information right now. And why not you that gives them the answer? Why should they, you know, don't let them see someone else's video. Let it be you, okay? So, Paula Marie says, I love the way you simplify the steps that can so easily paralyze us and stop us from hitting that live button. Exactly. I have fallen into the trap of paralysis analysis, whether that's gear. I bought so many cameras. I bought so many microphones, thinking that that would be the microphone that will make me sound podcasty, that, you know, the camera would be the one that would make the blurry background or make my skin nice and clear, or I need to get all those big lightings. I bought them. I bought all the things, but did that make me go, does that change the, you know, me going live or recording more often? No, because something else would take that place, you know, that I would go and check something else. What do they call it? Procrastivity. You know, you think that you're being productive by checking this, making sure all your notes are all ready, when in actual fact, the scaredness, the fear that's stopping you is going to always be there, and a planned live stream is no good if it stays as a plan. You need to take action. So I love that. Sheila says, I'm always forcing of the creators I watch, not so much myself. Forgiving. Okay, I'm always forgiving of the creators I watch, not so much myself. Again, you know, Paula Marie is probably going to be a really good one with this when it comes to mindset. And, you know, so she's going to be creating content that allows us to just go with the imperfectness, okay? And to you know, take charge of our life and know that we don't have to be perfect to do the things we are good at, the things that we know, that we can share with others who might have been in the same experience as us, you know, 3 steps behind. I still get nervous before I press that go live. And that is just means that I am excited to share, to turn up again and again. Okay, so when you are forgiving of others, flip it back, Sheila. Be forgiving of yourself, because when I do catch, Sheila's live stream, I love it. It's like as if I'm just chatting to a friend, whether it's in her, back deck, or where she's in a kitchen with her daughter cooking, because in this world where we feel so isolating, it's nice to just have that connection and finding your people, your kindred spirit. So the more often you go live, all these things that you think matters won't. I mean, sometimes, well, a lot of times actually, I go on with greasy hair, okay? No one has ever gone, Marianne, can you please fix yourself and, maybe do some dry shampoo? No one has ever done that. And if they have, all I got to do is, look, you will get me the way I am. Most times I do put some lippy on and put some blush and, make my 1990s thin eyebrows a little bit thicker. Okay, so really important. Be forgiving of yourself. I appreciate that, because you may not, but yeah, the people watching you are, because they enjoy you. They enjoy what you talk about. Don't deny us, right? Don't deny us of that information. My friends that pop on really keep me motivated. And you never know what you might be doing. Showing up is the thing that helps someone else, feel motivated. Okay, so now where are we? Okay, so what do you worry about? Let me know. If you are watching this on the replay, let me know what it is that you're worried about. Okay, so if you have gone through a checklist, okay, so let's say, Marianne, I created my pre-live checklist, and I've got the gear, the live stream set up, the content that I'm going to talk about, how I'm going to engage my viewer, saying hello to them at the beginning, asking questions, getting their feedback. But if you realize that part that you're still not sure about, okay, is the actual content. It's like, all right, Marianne, it's good that I know what to do beforehand, but I'm still a little bit stuck on what to say during my live stream. The next video that I would want you to watch is the one that I just did, I think it was just last week. Yes, last week, okay, where I talk about creating a basic, simple live stream show flow, okay? So how are you going to take your viewer into your live stream journey? So if you had a GPS, you put in where you start and where your destination. The basic live stream show flow, think of it, because I love analogies, think of it visually, is like you'll turn left here, turn right there, stop at the stoplight, wait for go at the roundabout. That's exactly what your show flow is what are the steps you need to take from the start of your live stream to the end. Okay, because your checklist, what that does is it can help remind you to check your topic, your main points, your call to action, and your close. But the show flow, that is, what do you say during your live stream, is actually going to help you know what to say from start to finish, because that is going to give you a simple order to follow. That way, you're not trying to figure out every transition, every next step while you're live. Because if you're a one person, production like I am, no one's controlling the behind the scenes for me. I'm doing all of this, changing scenes. You don't want to be also trying to figure out, what do I say next? Okay, while you're pressing live, you're checking comments, making sure your mic is all done. So what I'll do is I'll leave the link to that video in the description. So keep your checklist simple, make it your own, and then once the live stream is finished, I'm going to put that video here later so you can click on it. So I'll see you in that next video. Bye, everybody. Bye-bye.